Oh, I did like a sack parlay, which was kind of fun. It did not win at all, but I don't know, I just like the little parlays where it's like you can do $1 to win, you know. But yeah, anyways, she's been getting into it. She seems like she's liking it, so it's kind of fun. It's just been kind of fun. It's kind of fun for sisters to like be in on that stuff together. And yeah, I feel like so much time has passed that I cannot like ultimately